Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into some serious budgeting. Today, we're going to be using a real-life profile as our guide, kind of like we're crafting a plan just for you.
Sounds interesting. Using real life examples always helps to make things more relatable, right?
Absolutely. So let's meet Maria. She's 26, lives in Aurora, pretty happening place. She's making about $52,000 a year working as a nurse.
Yeah, sounds about right for someone starting out in the nursing field.
Totally. Now,
Yeah.
she's living with some roommates. Always helps with those expenses. And get this, she's super into staying active, loves her yoga and hiking. Oh, and she even finds time for volunteering.
Wow, she's got her hands full.
Yeah.
It's pretty common though, right? Trying to balance passions and responsibilities all while making ends meet. That's what makes Maria's situation so interesting for us to look at.
Couldn't agree more. All right, so Maria was kind enough to give us a really detailed breakdown of her monthly expenses. Let's see, rent's $500 with those roommates. Sounds about right for Aurora. Car insurance, standard $130. Phone bill sitting at $70. Pretty typical, I'd say,
Yeah, those seem pretty much in line with the average. It's always good to keep an eye on those recurring expenses though, right?
for sure. Now, groceries, she's estimated those at about $300 a month. And then utilities are looking at around $100. Again, pretty standard, wouldn't you say?
Seems reasonable, yeah. It's those smaller expenses that people often overlook that can really make a difference in the long run.
Oh, totally. And it looks like Maria prioritizes those fun expenses too, which is great. She's got $50 for her gym membership and then another $150 for those weekend activities. Gotta love that.
Absolutely. It's all about balance, right?
Exactly. But of course, we can't forget about those student loans. Those are sitting at $250 a month.
Yeah, those are a reality for so many people these days. So this is where getting a handle on your budget becomes super important.
100%. So when we're talking about budgeting, what are some of the things that someone like Maria, who's got a pretty full life, should be focusing on?
Well, the first step, and Marie's already done this, which is fantastic, is to actually track where your money is going.
Right, get to see the whole picture, right?
Exactly. Now, one thing that often trips people up, it's those small, kind of invisible expenses that we were talking about before.
Oh yeah, the little things that add up without us even realizing it.
Precisely. Those daily coffees, takeout lunches, they can really make a dent in your budget without you even noticing.
Totally. Like how many times have we grabbed a latte on the way to work without thinking twice, right?
Exactly. And for someone like Maria, who clearly enjoys her social life and experiences, it's important to be mindful of those spending habits.
So how can we do that without feeling like we're missing out on all the fun?
That's where those budgeting apps can be really helpful. There are so many great ones out there that can track your spending without being too restrictive. They
Uh,
can really give you a good idea of where your money is actually going.
Right, it's all about being aware, not depriving ourselves, right?
Absolutely. Now, another thing to consider is a budgeting framework. A popular one is the 50-30-20 rule. Have you heard of that?
I have. But just for our listeners, could you give us a quick refresher?
Sure. So, with the 50-30-20 rule, you're essentially aiming to allocate your after-tax income like this. 50% goes to your needs. Think rent, groceries, bills, essentials. Then 30% is for your wants, things like entertainment, dining out, hobbies, that kind of stuff. And then that final 20% is dedicated to your savings and debt repayment.
Okay, so basically needs, wants, and future planning.
Exactly. It's a great starting point for getting your finances in order.
So looking at Maria's situation, do you think this 50-30-20 rule would work well for her?
It could. It really depends on her individual goals. If she's happy with her current savings rate and debt repayment plan, then sticking with her current budget might be fine. But, there's always room for fine-tuning.
That's right. Even small changes can make a difference over time.
Absolutely. For example, let's say Maria wants to ramp up her savings for a down payment on a condo, which, let's be real, is a common goal in a place like Aurora.
Definitely. And a smart goal to have.
Right. So if that's her priority, she might want to look at where she can potentially reduce spending without sacrificing her lifestyle.
Like maybe those weekend activities could be adjusted a little bit.
Exactly. It's not about cutting out all the fun, but maybe instead of, say, going to a fancy restaurant every weekend, she could alternate with potluck dinners with friends or explore some free events in the city.
Those are fantastic ideas. And it still keeps things social, which we know is important to her.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe she could even find some free yoga classes offered by the city or online. There are tons of resources out there.
Oh, for sure. It's amazing what you can find if you just look around a bit.
Absolutely. The key takeaway here is that creating a budget isn't about restriction, it's about empowerment. It's about making conscious choices that align with your values and
I
goals.
love that. It's about taking control of your finances and making them work for you.
Exactly. And that's what I hope you take away from today's deep dive. Think about your own financial goals, big or small. What steps can you take, even small ones, to get closer to achieving them?
Such a good point to end on. Thanks so much. And to our listeners, keep those questions coming, and we'll see you in the next episode for another deep dive.